All right, Brian Good here for Snow Talk. Again, for those of you that are new to the blog, keep in mind Snow Talk is always the title of the blog, no matter what. It snows the forecast or not. It's just the theme of the blog for the season. So, looking at the snowboard, we actually do have two items right now that I think are interesting. One more so than the other. We have one coming up for this weekend. Everyone's aware of that, I'm sure, by now. And then we have one next week that I think is the more significant one to impact the area. Not so much in the way of snow, but just in general, a significant system. But let's cover the current setup real quick, because I don't have a whole lot of time as usual. High-level clouds now over the area. The cloud deck will lower. This cloud deck, it's hard to see it, but if you look up here around Indiana, this is a low layer here of stratus clouds that are going to sneak in later on with the actual front. So it will become overcast later on as it works its way in. Until then, we got a mix of filtered sunshine. And that combined with that west wind should really help keep us into the 50s today. So a nice looking day. We're 47 now. We've already hit 50 once. We'll get back up there again in the coming hours. Wind gust. We had a wind gust earlier of 35 miles per hour. They've eased a bit. This should continue to be the case. I think we'll ease downward once we get more of a overcast sky. The winds should begin to relax. Anytime you balance things out, basically in the area, you get either all sun or you get all cloud cover. It helps create an equilibrium, if you will, when it comes to the wind speeds, and you don't have as much on the gust potential. But when you go partly cloudy, that's when you get the higher wind gust or the mixing potential. And so we should, as we get the cloud deck, should see things stabilize. All right. So for the weekend, here's the deal on this. This is just an overall setup. I'll get into the details. This is not the official forecast yet, but this just gives you an idea. Because again, it's still in the Pacific Ocean yet. It hasn't been sampled yet, so I don't expect a lot of significant changes. But in this kind of a setup, even the smallest changes can be significant for very localized areas, if that makes sense. The deal is, this cold air that's moving in, especially Friday, is going to be significant. Friday night, some of the models are indicating teens to the north. I think lower 20s here in Louisville, but some decent cold air. We will recover from that during the day on Saturday, but the question is, how much of it is going to leave us on Saturday? Because by the time we get to Saturday night, the moisture begins to work its way in. Now, keep in mind, if you were watching yesterday on the blog, the flow is zonal, which means it's fast east or west to east flow. It was showing this little ripple trying to dig in the zonal flow. Very challenging for that to happen without any type of significant blocking to slow it down. So the models are starting to catch on to the idea of a zonal flow, and they're trying to speed this up. And when impulses like that are fast moving, they don't have enough time to really slow down, get organized, and really produce significant weather. So the models are balancing out. The difference you're going to see if you're a model watcher is really just the speed of the system more so than the track of it. Because the speed is everything. And if the faster speed comes into play, it may actually increase the risk for some frozen precipitation initially, but overall light amounts. All right, so this is the way I think it's going to look early on Sunday morning. A brief period of freezing rain locally. I think there'll be a period of moderate snow, more than likely just north of Louisville, and I'll show you why that's the case in a second. And then we should warm up to all rain. How quickly we do so will depend again on the speed of the system, but I think it'll be a gradual process, and then we should be fine after that. So it's only very early Sunday. I think it's going to be a problem for any type of travel issues that could develop. Here's the sounding out of Louisville, and again, this is looking at the ground level up to where basically the planes fly. Red line is temperature, green is your moisture. When they're close together, you're saturated. When they're far apart, you got dry air. All right, so here's the ground level. Here is the winds pushing that warmer air. Here is your freezing line. It's slanted. Your freezing line, the dashed line right there. Notice we cross over it just enough as we head toward the lower layers of the atmosphere. So the snowflake is falling, and then it melts when it crosses to the right of the freezing line, and then the red line is left of the freezing line right at the ground level. That is freezing rain. This is Louisville. So this is what we got to watch for. How much of this strong nose of warm air is there going to be, and how does it affect the temperature at the very, very lower layers of the ground? It doesn't last long. That's 3 a.m. Sunday. By 6 a.m., as you can see here, the red line is right of the dashed line in all the crucial areas. So it's just rain. So therefore, it's giving us the red here. You read this backwards, by the way, in time. Right is earlier and left is later. But you see, as we into Sunday morning, it's showing the potential for a bit of freezing rain, and then quickly all rain, and maybe some flurries in the backside. Now let me show you Madison, not that far up the road. Madison, Indiana, similar look to it, but your warm nose isn't strong enough in the mid layers of the atmosphere, so it's the temperature line stays to the left of the freezing line the entire time. That means the snowflake that falls stays intact, so it's a snow event and moderate snow, and you're below freezing at the ground level. So even just up the road, snow here locally, maybe a brief freeze and rain, but it too, within a few hours, warms it up enough to get us to all rain, and it is trying to anyway on this Buffett sounding, indicating about 1.7 inches could fall. So not a heavy snow event, but it's significant that temperature profiles like that, that's how sensitive the atmosphere is. We're not going to have the answers to that, though, and it's going to be different every model run until we get closer. But at least to give you some stuff to work with for those of you that want to know. Interested to see the Weather Prediction Center indicate a 30% chance for a quarter of an inch of sleet and snow potential very much in our backyards, but I think it's picking up the idea that burst, that initial burst, could be decent enough to accumulate, and I can see why, as went early on Sunday. When you look at the analogs, it only features about a 30% chance, really, of a measurable snow event, and it's going to be in far northern counties. Very little chance otherwise. And I think everything's lining up that way. I think this is going to be mainly a rain event, all right? But we got to watch that initial hit. Otherwise, as we get into next week, signs are we're going to have two areas of low pressure. One's going to roll out, warm us up in the 60s, maybe even 70s. But the key on this, yes, there could be some thunderstorms with this. But the second low that develops in the tail end, GFS wants to lag it behind a bit, which would increase snow potential, by the way. And the Euro and the Canadian try to tag along the southern end. But either way, this feature is significant on the bottom end. Both of these are decent lows as far as strength. And then that low would then get cold air involved with it, to perhaps changes over to snow by, say, next Wednesday into the Thursday. Right now, we look at the ensembles from the Euro. When it plots all the potential low placements with a first main low, you see it's all good agreement. Northwest of us, it's a warm flow, thunderstorm potential. And then as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, you see where it takes the main low. There's a lot of concentration with that, but it also hints at that southern low right in here across the deep south. And when you actually look at the overall mean ensemble, it's indicating the two lows. That is an interesting setup. That's all I'm going to say about it for now. We'll wait on that.